Afternoon, and can you hear me?
Yes, it's clear, ma'am.
Okay. So good afternoon and very warm welcome, literally warm welcome to this session on role play, which is one of the experiential teaching and training techniques. So today we are going to learn by doing, and uh, so please be prepared also that as the session progresses, uh, we will be, you know, doing a role play. Now, role play is a technique for teaching people the key learning points of a session, depending on what the topic of the session is, that this is an activity based learning methodology for teaching the key learning points. Now, the objective of a role play is always to learn, improve, and to develop skills or competencies necessary for a specific position. And why is role play regarded as a very important technique? Is because it allows the learner to assume the role or task of a job by practicing or stimulating real working conditions. Role play gives children the skills to handle problematic social interactions such as bullying, which may happen as they progress through life. When children engage in role play, it helps them develop their way of thinking and empathy towards others. It is a non-threatening way of teaching people. It is inexpensive, it is uncomplicated, and it helps to involve all the participants. It helps to develop the knowledge, skills, and attitudes, uh, because one advantage is that it helps people to learn by discovery. So when they participate in the role play, they themselves have an experience and it's easy to comprehend. It teaches life's lessons, it brings about behavioral changes, and it enhances exchange of knowledge and reinforces learning. It helps to develop the skills of communication, of sensitivity or empathy towards others, because when we get into their shoes, we are able to see how it feels to them. It develops our problem solving capabilities, observation and analysis, independent thinking, confidence and self esteem, credibility, accountability, and it helps us to increase our productivity. Now, for a role play, what you need is the idea that what is it that I'm going to teach and what is the idea that I'm going to take forward. We need a script and we need volunteers who will perform. Uh, the disadvantages of a role play are that it is a means, not an end. It requires expertise, guidance, and leadership. So the person who is handling the role play, the trainer who is handling the role play, needs to know how to, uh, take care of the points which emerge and how to process those points and to tie it up ultimately to the learnings that he wants to communicate to the people. He has to create an environment in which participants do not feel threatened. We will see later on how he needs to create an environment, because people, by exposing themselves, exposing their attitudes, are also making themselves vulnerable. It cannot be used as therapy. It is dependent upon imagination. It is time consuming, and it brings about behavioral changes, and it is dependent on the teacher's ingenuity and realistic use. So there are three stages of planning. Is the first stage for role plays. There you have to clearly identify the purpose, the problem area. You have to set up the scene. And then I'm going to share a story with you of how the eagle taught its little chicks to fly by role playing. Then you have to prepare the script. Sometimes you may have to prepare a full script depending upon how you want to play the role play. Then you can develop a partial script and unscripted. You can ask debrief questions. Materials for the key learning to be disseminated needs to be collected beforehand, and your PPT needs to be prepared. Then comes the stage of execution, and then comes the stage of debriefing the activity. So first we'll go point by point on the stage of planning. So in planning, what is it that you are going to plan? First is the targets and goals. I told you the learnings that you want to derive, what are the topics that you will cover, and then you will have to research and make the presentation on the topics that you want to cover. Now, the second thing becomes factors to consider are the context of the activity, in terms of where are you going to conduct the role play. Like today, we are going to conduct it on the e-platform. Sometimes you may have to conduct the role play amongst a lot of people in the open ground, jisko nukkad bhi kehte hain. Sometimes you have to do it in a seminar. So it all depends. Then how much time you're going to allocate for the role play, and how are you going to execute it. The role of the students becomes how many people are going to participate, what is the material, and what are the resources to be considered. Now, in role play, if you look at it, in developing a script, you can have a scripted role play, or you can have an unscripted role play. Now, the scripted role play is defined by the trainer, and the unscripted is defined by the learner. The behaviors of players are depth of story, and the unscripted is personal experience of the learner. The levels of resistance will depend. You know, sometimes people are very resistant to play a scripted role, but sometimes people are very spontaneous in the way that they will offer and volunteer themselves. Then the outcomes. In a scripted play, it is very easy to determine the outcome, because if I tell you that please behave like this, like this, like this, and this is how a king behaves, it's very easy, because I know at the end of the day I've told you to behave like a king. Or let me take leadership. So I can prepare a script in which I'm telling you to behave like an autocratic leader, and in one in which I'm asking you to behave like a democratic leader. So because in my script, I have already told you how to behave, either like a democratic leader or an autocratic leader, then it becomes very easy to decipher the behavior. And I can show my PPTs and I can say, see, this is the way an autocratic leader behaves and this is the way a democratic behaves. However, if you look at training effectiveness, it is not very effective because the person doesn't take ownership for their behavior. In an unscripted, the trainer's skill is required in picking up the relevant data, and therefore the outcome is hard to predict. Now, supposing I want to do different styles of leadership, and I pick up 3-4 people and I ask them to play the role of a leader, and I just say so much and no more. Then what are the chances? The chances are that all 4 people might play the role of the same type of leader. There is a chance. And the net result that will happen is that my whole thing will collapse. Because the purpose of my session was to demonstrate to the group that what are the different styles of leader. So if I am a clever trainer and I want to ensure that all the styles of leadership come out, then I can make an open question where I can say that, okay, so there are different types of leaders. What are the different types of leaders? Then the group will say there are autocratic leaders, there are democratic leaders, there are laissez-faire leaders, there are these kind of leaders, those kind of leaders. So I list down all those leaders. And then I say that, okay, so let's have a demonstration of how an autocratic leader would behave in, and I would give a situation. In this situation, then I would say, in the same situation, how would a laissez-faire leader behave? In the same situation, how would a democratic leader behave? So I have to be careful about the way that I word and conduct so that my learnings come out. Then transfer of learnings are very high in a scripted role play if the role play is well scripted. Whereas if it is unscripted, then the transfer of learning, the spontaneity can lead to realism. Because sometimes what happens is that when a person is stuck internally on an issue and you ask them to play the role of the opposite person, like for instance, if I am very angry with you about something and you and I am not able to overcome my anger with you. So one way of helping me to move on is to ask me to step into your shoes and we change hats. Am in your position and you are in my position, and then you play the role. And sometimes what happens is that in the process of playing the role, I empathize and I begin to understand how it may have felt for you. So that kind of change can happen with this. Then we come to the stage of execution. Now, in execution, it is very important for the trainer to exhibit lot of positive energy. If the trainer himself at the stage of execution is not excited about or convinced about the role play that he is going to play and is very tentative in the way he gives his instruction, then the whole atmosphere in the room becomes very gloomy. Then they are non-apprehensive, they are sincere, they are open, they need to be compassionate and non-threatening. Now, non-threatening हम कैसे बनते हैं? When we use not a should and must type. The moment I tell you, you should not have behaved like this, you should not have done this, you should not have done that, then you will feel threatened. Because if an authority figure tells you, don't do this, don't do that, then you are likely to feel very threatened. And you are being told this in front of 20 other people. So you will feel ki bhaiya, better not to get into these activities. But whereas if I raise questions with you and I ask you, so how did you feel? What did you learn? What are your insights? What would you like to say? Then you are saying whatever you are saying. And then we can ask for feedback from the rest of the group that how did the group perceive you? And we give an instruction to the group that whatever has happened in the room stays in the room, that the confidentiality clause has to be maintained. Then people feel less threatened. So by the choice of word, by the attitude of the trainer, by what the trainer allows the rest of the group members to do, that is what will create a compassionate and a non-threatening environment. Then make sure that your props are set up, and choose volunteers and allocate the roles. Then in the execution stage, give information on the roles. Define the roles of the participants who are going to participate, and define the observer's role, and tell them for how many minutes or how much time will this activity happen. Then when the play is going on in the execution stage, oversee. This is very important, because if you get distracted at this stage and you miss out the data on the role play that is happening, then it can create a lot of complications at the time when you are processing the data. Make notes on the point you want to debrief, because all of us are human beings and we tend to forget the events as they have taken place. In overseeing or in capturing data, so you can capture your data, you can capture data by using participants as observers, plus you can do a video recording of and then replay the video record as a means of feedback to the participants. Then we come to the third stage, that is debriefing the role play. Now this stage is very important, because very often what happens is that participants, they get into their roles so much that when you are debriefing, then they are not talking from themselves, but they're talking from the role, and they begin to defend whatever they have done in the role as if it was them. And if you recall, I think it was in the last class only, or yeah, I think it was in the last class, that when a technique was being taught between process and content, the identification with the content became so strong that, you know, the purpose got confused. That now I remember that it was about personality, that how to develop self-confidence, that what can be the process of a session. That in the end the feeling was that, oh, you know, we should have conducted a session on how to develop confidence itself. So this happens much more in a role play, and you will find that, you know, people start taking sides, and many dynamics get created. So you have to get people out of the role very quickly, just in the next 2-3 minutes of the role play, and tell them, Okay, I'll tell you just now how to do it. Then by checking the feelings, first check the feelings. So how are you feeling? What did you learn? What did this experience mean for you? And then quickly ask the participants to share the feedback and then share observations. And then after that, uh, debrief the content, and debriefing of the content means the concept which you want to cover, and you can also do a video replay. Often when you do a video replay of a small role play, it's very, very powerful, because then as a trainer, you have to say very little. The participants themselves see themselves in the play, and they are able to comment upon, but you have to raise the correct questions in processing, so that in a non-defensive manner, they can comment and talk about what they want to change. After that, you can conclude the role play by asking people to share in small groups what learning that they have had, which is happened in the role play, which is akin to their work situation. Because if you don't tie up the learning, then people will not know how to apply it. The apply stage in the learning cycle does not get completed. And then it can be what I feel like saying. Now, there are different types of role plays, and you would have seen and experienced all of them. So one is doubling up. So you have seen many movies in which the same character first stands on one side of the stage and speaks, then quickly shifts over to the other side of the stage, and then speaks the language from the other person's character. Then comes dramatization. This is something which all of you are familiar with. Then comes intervention interview. So what happens is that you ask the participant to take the role of, say, CEO of the company, and you can ask another participant to take the role of a board of a reporter, and you can ask that person to interview this CEO in terms of what strategy of the company can be. It depends on what you are doing in the session, but this is also one way of doing role plays. Then comes mirroring. Now, this is very interesting. What happens is that you are playing a role, and I mirror back to you the same thing. So, like video replay is a mirroring technique. So, you begin to see yourself in the mirror. Then comes modeling. So, I will role play to teach you what is, we'll see modeling. I'm going to read a story to you, so you will see how modeling of a role play can take place. Mono play, that is simple for you, one play in the whole exercise. You can have multiple plays in the same exercise. Like for instance, the subject I will do with you, I will be doing a mono play, but I have conducted the same exercise in live situation in multiple groups. Role reversal, I've already explained this to you. Single group, this is simple enough for you. And then role playing correct behavior and role playing wrong behavior. So there are multiple types of role plays which can be used. And now we are ready to do the role play activity. So what I want is I want two volunteers. One volunteer who will play the role of a customer and one volunteer who will play the role of the manager of the company which owns the business. So you can raise your hands, whoever is willing to volunteer. The rest of the group members become observers to this activity. So has anybody raised their hand? Arvind Kumar raised. Arvind, what would you like to be, the manager or the customer?
Anyone, ma'am.
Okay, who is the other person? I need one more volunteer.
I can go for it, ma'am, if you allow. I'm Ritu here.
Hi, Ritu. Hi.
Yeah, hi, ma'am.
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that.
Okay. So Arvind and Ritu.
Yeah.
Anupam has also raised his hand. So between the three of you, you can decide which are the two participants.
I
Or you
raised it.
can the,
Ma'am,
Yes,
it can be Arvind and Ritu, the first two guys. Not an issue.
okay, fine. So Ritu, what would you like to be? Would you like to be the manager of the organization or the customer?
Customer?
Customer. So Arvind, you're okay to be the manager because you didn't take a specific choice.
Yes, ma'am, no problem.
It's okay? Yeah?
Yes.
So Alok, can you please share on their private, this chat box, what role they have, both of them have to play?
Sure, ma'am.
So on your chat box, Ritu and Arvind, you are going to be having what is your brief. So spend some time reading it. And then Arvind, you will have to remove your camera. Sorry, your, what is it? You'll have to start playing your video once you're ready. You have read it and then you have 2-3 minutes to prepare. And hi, Arvind. So the rest, yeah. So please see your chat box. Maybe your role has come to you.
Not yet, ma'am.
Alok is
Not yet, ma'am.
okay. Okay,
just
it's
sharing.
coming. Alok is just sharing your role. So you are excited about playing the role?
Yeah.
I have already done it many times during the stage shows.
Wow, very good, very good, very good.
Not yet received, ma'am.
Just a second. I'm just-
Alok is trying to just send it to you. Just
Okay.
give him a little time. Because he probably has to copy, paste, and then send it in your chat box.
In the meantime, ma'am, can I have a question with you?
Yes.
The question was, you talked about debriefing in experiential learning. And usually we hear a lot about, paraphrasing when we talk about the cognitive learning. Is it like paraphrasing is specific to cognitive learning and debriefing is specific to experiential?
No, no, no. I will demonstrate. Paraphrasing basically means that I'm saying Arvind has just told me that he is comfortable playing the role because he has already done it many times. And Arvind is asking me a question that is debriefing the same as paraphrasing? I have paraphrased what you have said.
And what about debriefing, ma'am?
Debriefing, we will see. Yeah. But you have understood paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Paraphrasing just means that whatever you have said, I have just captured
A summary.
the entire communication and summarized it and repeated it back to you.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh? And quoting means that I say verbatim what you have said. So if I'm not quoting you, then I will say that I'm paraphrasing what Khalil Gibran said, or what Rumi said, or what Arvind said, or what Ritu said, or what Kaushal Saab said, or what Alok said. So paraphrasing is not exact, but it is by and large the message. Debriefing is completely different.
That is shared. Please check.
Yeah, we have received.
Okay, so for the rest of the participants, you can have a look at this table. And these are the points on which you're going to observe the role play when it takes place. Cannot hear you.
Yeah. Is it okay, ma'am, now?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah. Just wanted to understand that the customer perspective which has been given, it is we need to show that angry kind of a gesture here in
I
this
don't
role
know
play.
how you feel. It's up to you.
Okay,
You're
okay,
a
that's-
customer. I leave the room for you.
Okay,
Whatever
okay.
you would like, I leave the choice to you. But this is how the customer is feeling. But how you want to carry it is your call. Yeah?
Yeah.
So let's start.
Sir, I have come, I'm a customer of your past company, and I had actually taken a credit card. So I had a little problem to share with you, sir, a concern.
Okay, please go ahead. I would be
Actually, your agent came to me with a lot of promises, and he gave me a signed for 1 year trial package of that credit card. But somehow he didn't inform me, sir. And before restarting again, so that has credit card trial has ended. He should have told me, but he is actually charging those fees for that further subscription. So I feel I'm actually cheated, sir. Don't you feel that it should be reminded me the agent before?
Ma'am, sorry to say, but I feel during you signed up the agreement for the credit card, you have already given all the rules and regulations, and you were told about, that after a year, you have to again pay. And I'm sure, it is our regular policy that we continuously keep sending emails also, and we try to confirm from the clients. And definitely I see, we have sent you emails, to notify that yes, the 1 year period as per our policy has ended, and you will be charged in case if you do not cancel. So whatever has been charged, ma'am, I just want to assure it is as per our company policy, and we haven't actually tried to cheat you or any other customer, because our policy is to, make our customers happy all the time and to care for them.
Right, right, Mr. Arvind. Actually, I like the way that you have come up with your policies and things are all set up. But then only thing is, one more thing, sir. Your agent came with me with the service. Like each product comes with some service, and he promised me something, sir. He told me that I'll be reminding you. Don't you think, sir, the service also comes after the product being sold off?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. The service comes. Whenever we actually sign up any individual, there are resources which has to be allocated for each individual. So if you are holding the card, that means, you are using the resources of our companies. You could have used it. If you are not using it, then also, everything that was there for you, it was already in place, and we were incurring, monetary expenses on that. let's say, there were ATMs, and you can actually go with the credit card, and you can use that. You can use the credit card on any of our customer, any of the outlets where this credit card is utilized. So in order to run this whole credit card system, we actually have to incur the costs. So as per the company policy, the incurred cost has to come from the customers, and you have to take yourself in my place, ma'am. And in case if you are running a business, if you are actually providing the service, you become a member for me even for a day after the year ends, you have actually utilized the service, no matter even if you have not used it once, right, ma'am? So I think you actually see it in the light of whether you used it or not. You actually had it, you holded the card, and that's why the charges came.
Thanks. Actually, Mr. Arvind, I really go with very nicely the content that you shared that I've been using, and I do admit it was a good journey with your credit card. The only one thing which I would like to request, as you can see my ignorance, I was actually dependent on your agent, on his promises given to me, and I hope you believe these things were offered me at the time of getting credit card. So may I just make a humble submission to actually waive off this time as a first exceptionally for a customer service, so that I can be serviced in a better way, and so I do retain your subscription in a happy moment.
Ma'am, I have seen your records, and you have actually been a very good customer of our credit card, our banking system. And though I am very sorry, we cannot actually refund the amount, but I would actually promise, that we can actually give you some other services, additional advantage, if you actually subscribe it for another 2 years. So in case if you want to sign up for another 2 years, I can actually give you some additional advantage without any cost. Would you like to go for another 2 years subscription, ma'am?
Sir, Mr. Arvind, with this kind of the offer that you are giving, sir, don't you feel I would not be happy accepting your offer? Because it is a moment when I'm actually dissatisfied with the promise which was given me with your agent, that I will be reminding, and without any mail or any official things which have been there, I have been given a subscription requirement. That probably will not suit to my choice. If as a better service, I would expect an initial waive off of this time, and probably I'd like to enjoy your services, which were really good in future.
Ma'am, let me explain whatever I said. I think you have misunderstood what I, offered you. One is, the charges that were, deducted from your credit amount bank was for the services that we have already provided. So it's like, if you are a member for one more day, the charges will definitely have to be there. So it is not according to like, you used it or not. The other thing we understood is like, you are not very happy. As a customer, we always want to make, as a service provider, we want all our customers should be very happy, and they should be very delighted. So in order to do that, you have to understand the services that we are going to give you. It is actually worth like 5,000 INR. Ma'am, usually it is given to our premier customers who have it for like 10 years, or very privileged customers who have a very high accountability with us. So you actually become more privileged in the first year, and you are signing up with a gold card that we are going to offer only to those privileged customers. I would actually request that you meet me in person, and we can actually talk further. And or in case if you also want to go through our brochure, I can give you some advanced more information which will which you can utilize to your benefit, and you can see how beneficial the additional 2-year membership would be for you. And take your time, ma'am. I know it's not a hurry. You cannot actually take any decision in a hurry, because that can actually not be beneficial for any one of us. We do not want to lose you as a good customer. At the same time, we do not want to lose any opportunity. So I would request you to go through this offer, take your time, and then come back and we can talk about it.
Thanks for considering my plea, and definitely I would like to meet one-to-one, because I feel a hope that something would be done for me. So when would it be appropriate for you that I can call you, sir?
Any day as per your convenience, ma'am. In the weekdays, 9 to 5.
Okay, sir. Maybe Friday, 9 o'clock. I will talk to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for considering once again. Thanks, sir.
Always welcome. Ma'am, we think we are done with that conversation.
So what have you agreed finally?
Agreed is
Just
like,
meet for negotiation, ma'am.
I'm not going to give any money back, right? Because it's according to the company policy. Additionally, I want to take more money, because I'm actually going to sign her for an additional 2 years. That's
But
the
I intend to come back to you with my privilege that I am a gold customer of that kind, and something I will take back from you.
even the gold card is actually, I mean, I'll give you the gold card, but that is actually additional advantage for me because I'm going to charge more.
Yeah, so looking into all things, I will decide later.
So that's the salesmanship, ma'am. I have always seen managers, the bank managers especially, even if they do everything wrong in their side, they'll always try to, comprehend that, they are there to help you, and why don't you, allow me to offer something more? You signed something more. I remember one occasion when I deposited the money for a FT in one of the new banks, and they did something wrong, and I said I want my money back. And they said, why don't you, sir, invest more money and we'll give this an additional offer. And this is how he approached. So it's a very, easy approach for me also to come with that role.
Fine. But it was a great time, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So first of all, Arvind and Ritu, thank you so much for volunteering, and a very big hand from all of us to you. And how do you feel after being in this role play? So first I will ask Ritu, then I will ask Arvind. That Ritu, how are you feeling at this moment?
I was feeling great. In fact, representing of a customer, my power was there at my place. Yes, I can be angry. I can get my things. I can tell them I have paid for it. So that kind of thing. It was great experiencing that moment, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. So do you think you got what you set out to get or not?
Maybe a chance to negotiate because he was not able to understand at that all those things in one go, and this might be one-to-one interaction might be much more useful to give his things to me, and I can get it from that. So not really, but yes, a moment an open door was kept open for a negotiation.
For him to fleece you more. Oh, okay. Arvind, how do you feel after this?
I think the customers who are angry, they actually provide more opportunity to growth and success. And they also provide an opportunity to learn. So asking a person to come and meet in person allows me to, provide a glass of water and a cup of coffee where they feel obliged, and I actually want her to sign 2 more years for my bank or for the credit card or whatever the services we are going to provide. Additionally, it gives a leverage to the manager where, the psychological or the emotional connect with the customers become higher, and they are pleased that, this person is sitting here and he's going to listen to me, and definitely I should actually go with the offer and try to take services, because that agent cheated, I can actually, just forget about that, but this person is very reliable and, he will be here, so I should prefer the services of this bank. So these are opportunities to identify these type of customers. I guess each manager have plenty of these type of people every day coming to them, meeting, and, trying to somewhere confide in them, at the same time, trying to convince them that our services is somewhere that is best in the industry. And, everywhere we are, since we are, human, it is always, we can make mistakes, but apart from those mistakes, if you actually consider the services and the advantages any customer can get through our organization is tremendous. So then you get a scope where you can talk about your organization, you can talk about your services. And I think any bank is spending a lot of money for advertisement. The invitation to a person coming to your bank is giving you an opportunity to advertise your bank and your organization and your product at a larger and a deeper level.
Okay. So I want to ask the rest of the group, what do they have to say? While you were participating, the group was observing you on these dimensions. Did you see the dimensions before you started?
No, ma'am.
No, you didn't see. So let me tell you that they were watching you on whether your behavior was aggressive, submissive, assertive, or passive aggressive. And what was your tone? What was your body posture, expressions? What were your emotions? What is your attitude to self? What is your attitude to others? And what is your response to the feedback? Is that correct? So, yeah. Uh, so therefore, I'm asking maybe one or two participants to, they can give you feedback on Ritu and Arvind. Now, you can listen to what the participants have to say in terms of how your behavior on these dimensions came across to them. Is that okay? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So whoever would like to start, please raise your hand. Anupam. Yeah. Yes, Anupam. Anupam, are you sharing? I can't hear you.
Sorry, ma'am. I had not unmuted myself. Okay. As far as the tone is concerned, the customer was quite mild-mannered. I won't really call it passive customer, but the customer was mild-mannered, whereas the manager was reasonably assertive in what he wanted to say, and he was generally able to get his way with the customer. Same goes for the expressions. I won't classify any one of them as an aggressive or as a submissive guy, but in the overall context, the customer was fairly mild-mannered.
Submissive only.
Submissive would be a slightly negative word to use, ma'am. I won't say
Really?
I would take it as a little negative words. Both aggressive and submissive would become a little negative in their orientation. I won't put any one of them in that category. As far as the attitude to the self was and the attitude to the others, I'm sorry, digressing from the issue points that or the guidelines that have been given. The customer was fairly concerned as far as an appreciative of the point of view that was being given to her by the manager. Whereas the manager, while being accommodating, actually held his ground and did not concede anything as far as the customer was concerned. That is, in overall nutshell, the role that has been played by two of them.
Okay, very nice. Thank you so much, Anupam. And anybody, are there others who would like to share their views? We can take one or two more views.
Hello.
Kinshu.
Yeah. Very good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Ritu ma'am. Good afternoon, Arvind.
Hi.
Yeah. Ma'am, I totally agree to Anupam. And with Arvind, I feel that as a manager, he bombarded too much of data to the customer at one given moment of time, and the customer got confused. Ho kya raha hai? I mean, so much of data is being bombarded at the customer, and she had to be cornered and say yes to whatever he's saying is yes. Now keep the phone down. Something like that was happening at the moment of time frame. The manager did not leave his ground. Agreed. And I suppose that comes from experience, that Arvind might have really had his heart called by dealing with all the customer care services now and all that stuff. So the customer was mild in that area, and there are different kind of people as such when sales is concerned. But what I observed in the entire problem was that the customer had a problem with the card was being charged after a year. And let's say after 3 months of time, time frame the customer observes that yes, I'm being charged. वो तो free होना चाहिए था. अगर free होना चाहिए था तो फिर मैं पैसा क्यों दूंगा? अगर मैं पैसा नहीं दूंगा तो मेरे को क्या क्या options मिल सकते हैं? या options मिले या मैं कार्ड बंद कर दूं? Now you could have taken the manager to the consumer court or the consumer forum, had to be a bit hard on him, milk more money from the consumer, from the manager as such. Here the manager was offering everything. मैं आपको gold card दे देता हूँ, मैं आपको ये दे देता हूँ, मैं आपको वो दे देता हूँ. Now, dissatisfied customer नहीं है, it was a new customer at the end of the day. So the problem needed to be quite mellowed down as such. So when so much of data is there, I think everybody of us tends to go to a corner and agree to whatever is being said. As far as body postures are concerned, we are on Zoom. We cannot just observe the exact thing, but facial expressions were like, okay, fine. People were smiling. People were not hard enough, but yes, a good role play. Thank you so much.
Okay, anyone else? So I request you to just stick to these points which are being displayed, and we can take one more response before I move on. Kinshuk,
Yes, ma'am.
If you mute yourself, I think, yeah. So can we have one more person, or is there no one else? That's it? Should I move on? Because I don't see any hands up.
Ma'am, can I ask one question?
Hmm.
Ritu is actually from a sales background, and it was a surprise for me why she chose actually to be a customer and not a manager, because her actual job is to perform and sell something, which I was actually doing.
So which I think Ritu you remember I told you that mirroring back wala jo role play tha, that I think you did that part of it, no?
I think she was compassionate, towards salespeople, because she's already into sales, and she was just compassionate to me, and that's why she was.
Yeah, because if I were to look at it in terms of aggressive, submissive, assertive, and passive, or if I were to ask you yourself, Ritu, where would you see your own behavior? Was it submissive, or was it assertive, or was it aggressive?
Ma'am, I actually take it in assertive. I have hope at back of my mind. Yes, I can do in the next negotiation. Frankly, just like to add, as Arvind has touched that I am from a sale background. Mine had been a pharma where I deal with doctors. So they're very learned. So my character has been inbuilt over the years. So I still know that in one cannot win in one go. One has to keep the composure, and slowly and steadily you can get what you want. So that part is, I still have though it might look as submissive to some, but I still know I'm assertive, because I still have a hope in meeting next and understanding what he wants to say, because as Kinshuk told, a lot of things were actually bombarded which were very new to me. So I really want to understand and then go. So it is assertive at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and Arvind, how did you see Ritu's role? Now just get out of your roles. You were not this or that, and look at yourself very objectively. So you're back to being Arvind and Ritu. Yeah, so how Arvind, did you see Ritu? Was she aggressive, submissive, assertive, passive aggressive?
She was actually assertive in one way, because she was trying to get the money back, but none of the managers, I haven't seen a single manager who would like that a credit card holder should end up their account. It is actually, you know, one way I'm going to lose one customer, but at the same time, she would, by the way of bad mouthing, you know, she would actually distract many more customers that will actually come and join me in future. At the same time, maybe, you know, she can actually affect individuals who are already my customers and they may not be using my services. So idea is not to actually, you know, take that customer away and let her feel, you know, that she's not taken care of. Definitely, yes. I think all the companies and organizations, they have certain policies, you know, that, you know.
अरे 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 तुम कहाँ चले गए? वापस आओ. ये सेशन मार्केटिंग के ऊपर नहीं है. ये सेशन है to see whether your behavior is aggressive, submissive, assertive, passive, aggressive. But looking at the watch, I'm calling it a day because I see you're unable to dissociate yourself from your roles and you're very polite. All of you are very polite with one another. But most certainly, Ritu, you were, if you were to take my view, you were a submissive customer because the moment you read your script, what was the first sentence that you asked me? Do I have to act angry? You know, it was such a, you know, you had to ask that question. Why did you need to ask that question? I have already written in the script that the customer is angry and rightfully so. And that customer is threatening to take the credit card person to court. And here you are busy to subscribe for 2 more years. So therefore, I would definitely say that your credit card holder got an edge over you. Your tone was soft and polite. I would agree that your words definitely had a lot of apology in them. And so now let's look at that what does assertiveness actually mean? Because there were a lot of you who were saying that the behavior was assertive, but actually the behavior was submissive. And this is not to say that submissive is bad or assertive is good or aggressive is bad. All three behaviors we demonstrate at different points in time, and all three behaviors are important and necessary, but each have a different feature. So these are styles of communication, and largely there are 4 styles of communication which you have already seen. Passive communication, people use soft voice, they are overly agreeable, they avoid conflict, you know, and they have a withdrawn body language which you could not see, but if you look at the eyes and the face, that also is quite a good indicator. They sound unsure, they beat around the bush, they sound hopeless and helpless, which you definitely did not sound. Yeah, although you conceded to his point, but it was not in a helpless manner. Some messages could be, if that's the way you think you want to do it, that's fine with me. I don't know if I could do that. I'll talk to him soon about the problem. I've just been really busy. I'm sorry to ask you. I hate to bother you. Maybe that's a good idea. Passive aggressive communication. Passive aggressive communication is basically people who say yes on your face, but people who go and do just the opposite behind the back. So you have a lot of people in the organization who will say yes sir, anything you say sir, and they will sit and they will make all the note, but पीछे जाके कहेंगे अरे यार छोड़ो, क्या है ये बॉस तो ऐसे ही कहता रहता है, you know. So सामने से मुस्कुराते रहेंगे लेकिन पीछे जाके वो छुरा मार देंगे. And some passive aggressive messages are, I knew that wouldn't work. If that's the way you wanted, how could you even think that? When was the last time you helped me? The problem with Joe is. Aggressive communication, you know, is that you blame and accuse the other person. You have an intimidating body language, demanding, ordering, raising the voice, using harsh verbal browbeating. So this is something which we are all familiar with. I'm not going to spend much time on it. Assertive communication, they take responsibility, they take initiative, they listen actively, they speak up, they're directive, they are direct and constructive, they show sincerity, is solutions focused, assumes a confident voice and body language, they address the concerns directly to the source, and they own up responsibility. So some of their language could sound like this. Now, aggressive behavior must not be confused with assertive behavior. Some people are blunt, they are harsh in the tone, they blame and browbeat, they push their own way, and one-way conversation flow. They are aggressive. They are assertive people are direct, they are firm in tone, they collaborate on solution, they speak up, yet hear others' opinions, and two-way conversation flows. Uh, it isn't just what you say, but how you say it. That is what is important. Eye contact is looking at the person, maintaining, looking in the right places, and we should not glare or stare or look away, look all around, not give darting glances, blink excessively, focus in on one person, or glaze over. Body language has to be very not very tight and not very loose, and you should not be slouching, invading space, hovering over the listener, looking blank, looking stern, displaying threatening gestures, folding your arms, exhibiting distracting habits. Then set the tone, project your voice, show inflection in your voice, display sincerity in your tone. Voice, don't be too loud. Basically, at the end, the choice of words has to be very gentle and polite. Being assertive increases self-confidence, increases self-respect. There is no need for constant approval. Gains the respect and admiration of others, give courage to deal with conflict, gives satisfaction, creates healthy relationships, and resolves conflict. So, however, assertive communication is not a guarantee, nor should another person. It's not another should that you have to be only assertive, that you cannot be submissive or you cannot be aggressive. Like one of the participants said, no, that it'd be very rude not to call her submissive. But actually it is not really like that. There are times when it is wise to be submissive and to back off. And this is basically a figure which shows the difference between the two kinds of behaviors. And these are the techniques for developing assertion, which is acknowledging, probing, three-part sentence, broken record, pointing out discrepancy, pointing out a consequence. And it's important to know one's right and how you can use your rights in order to become assertive. And what is most important is don't be afraid of losing people. Be afraid of losing yourself by trying to please everyone around you. So this, Arvind, is debriefing. All what I did from the point at which I asked you, how are you feeling? And then when I took observations from the other people, then integrated it into the concept of assertive, aggressive, submissive. This is all debriefing process which was going on. Is that okay? So I've given the group a experience of how role play can be used in order if you are doing a session on communication styles. This is how you can use a single party role play. We could have also taken this, another two people, another three sets of people to do it, or we could have divided the entire group into 4 groups and asked one group to do aggressive, one to do aggressive assertive, one to do submissive, and one to do like that. So this is the reason why different ways in which role play can be used. But given the time, given the situation, given the medium, I thought this much is sufficient in order to be able to demonstrate to you that how for this learning, this is the way the script was written, this is the space which was provided to the players, and this is the way in which it would be processed and used as a medium for learning the styles of communication. Is that okay? So the purpose of the session definitely was not to do assertive, aggressive and all that, but to just show you what inputs you can include.
Ma'am, just can you halt on the last to third slide, ma'am? Second, one before that. Thank you, ma'am. Just a moment. Thank you, ma'am.
In case of call centers, there are voice trainings, and the call center employees, they are sometimes tested for how they can handle their actual customers when they are dealing them on phone. So usually a dummy call is made. Can we call that dummy call as a role play also?
Yes, it's a rehearsal.
So that is a role play.
It is a rehearsal, no? Where they are playing the role of the person who is answering.
But in some cases, like, in these type of cases, the dummy calls, the actual employee may not be aware, that it's a dummy call. The manager has made a dummy call just to ensure how well the training has, been absorbed by their employees and how fairly they are doing after. It could be a sort of supervisor survey.
So that's different.
Unscripted, ma'am. That might be unscripted kind of a role play.
Yeah,
it's unscripted, no, because he's testing the other person. That's evaluation.
Right.
Actually.
That's not role play.
Not really. Okay. If because we have run into time, so if there's anybody who would like to say one thing or any one question, we can take that. Otherwise, it's already 3:10, so I think I'm well past my time.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of role play, then? And which are the areas which are more suitable for role plays?
That always happens. Once you do the role play, then you start getting interested in what was already done in the beginning. Up until then, it becomes like a conceptual this thing, right? So the advantages of a role play are that it is non-threatening, it is inexpensive, uncomplicated, it involves all participants, it allows learning by discovery, it is easy to comprehend, it teaches life's lessons, it brings about behavioral changes, it enhances exchange of knowledge, which is what we were doing all this while, it reinforces learning. It helps to develop communication skills, sensitivity, problem solving, observation and analysis. It promotes independence, accountability and productivity. And what are the advantages is that it is just a means to teach something. It's not an end in itself. It requires expertise, guidance. It cannot be used as therapy. It is dependent upon imagination. It is time consuming. It brings out behavioral changes and is dependent on the teacher's ingenuity and realistic use. So these are the advantages and disadvantages of role play. I see 4 raised hands. Any other question? So, Kaushal Saab, should we call it a day?
Yes, yes.